Hey everyone, how you doing out there? What's up? What's up? What is going on? I said hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. I said hey. What's going on? How you guys doing out there? It is Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, and I'm saying what is going on? How you feeling? How's it going? Welcome to the dark side of the room. I am Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, and I am happy, like really sincerely happy that you guys are here today. Still trying to get the music and stuff under control and all that jazz. But welcome to the dark side of the room. This is the show where we talk about gaming, hobbies, board games, sometimes 3D printing, so many different things. I am just getting adjusted here and saying what's up to all of my peoples. How you guys doing? And all right, so welcome to a new week, and boy, what a week it has been. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had earthquakes, we've had gaming controversy and comic controversy and blah 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 controversy everywhere over all of these different things. But before we get into any of that stuff and talk to people, I want to say what's up, because we have consistently been casting on YouTube and on Twitch simultaneously. Now Twitch is like, we would really appreciate it if you only Twitched with us and gave us exclusive rights, but since I don't have the followers to, what's the term I'm looking for, make enough money for anything like that, this is just a thing. So good afternoon. I want to say what's up to my folks in NP City. What's going on, Deckers? Saying hello to Clever Vixen, Camel Heart, some dude named Nicholas Hurst. I wonder who that is. And we've got a lot of stuff, and I mean a lot of stuff coming down the aisle that I want to talk about today. Primarily because, how can I put this? There has been some stuff going on. A lot of, what's the terms I'm looking for? I'm talking like a lot of controversies, a lot of things that have been going on, a lot of dishappiness, and I got a chance to talk to my old co-host, the Viking, last week. We ended up doing a couple of things on that, and it got me thinking about something this week. But before we get into all of those things, let me give you a shout out and a little bit of a thing there. If you guys want to talk to us or drop us a line or anything like that, love that sound. Feel free to drop an email over at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK @gmail.com. You can also hit us up over on Twitter and Instagram at Back in the Deck. Just do the hashtag Big P or look up at Back in the Deck, and you guys will be able to talk to us about various things. So send us an email, and I read all the emails and I reply, so that is a thing. And if you guys would like to help us keep the doors open, you know, a lot of fancy channels are like, yeah, help me support, blah blah blah, yeah, help us support. What that actually means is send us money so we can keep the lights on. Please send us money over at, well, how can I put this? Yeah, send us some cash if you can. Hold on a minute. There. Yeah, over. Wow, I am just so discombobulated today. But yeah, if you are looking to support us and help us out and help us keep the doors open and pay for stuff, you can easily find us over at patreon.com/BID_P. And with that, you can actually become a decker in your own right for as little as $1 a month. We've got so many different things that we can put out there. We do miniatures, we do live cast, and the sketches are coming. Oh my god. And all this stuff can be yours for the tiny price of $1 per month. And I tell you, everybody gets something. We've got tiers that go all the way up to $100. I'm not joking about that, but we do really cool stuff. We manufacture all of our own gear. Yay! Boom. Yeah, yeah, we manufacture all of our own stuff. I'm just having a little problem with one of my machines here. And honestly, deckers at every level get something. And I mean something, at least a keychain or at least some dice. At the higher tiers, you end up getting stuff like dice rollers and cool little masks and things like that. Like so many, oh, there we go. So many cool things. And when I say cool little masks, I mean like little masks. Look at that. Hang on. All right, so yeah, so that's the stuff we're doing. But today was something I was working on not long ago. I started talking with the Viking this weekend, and one of the things that we started talking about is we have different thought processes when it comes to the games we play, the reasons we play them, what we get out of them, and all of those things bear some sort of conversation. Yes, that's right. It's a full-size mask. Oh, Vixen, you're so funny. But yeah, so this is a real big thing. This is a real thing that we do, and I think I'm going to put out one quick notification to say, hey, we're here and we're live, because I got so many things on the announcements, and they were like, oh, that's so great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, where you at? Where you at, man? Where you at? What, you know, why you ain't at the thing? So I'm not trying to call out anybody in particular, but yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm a little discombobulated, as you guys can see, which is why I do everything live. And oh yeah, some people are like, oh my God, he's drinking the tea while spilling the tea. I'm like, nah, it's coffee. Anyhow, hotness in my mouth. That was probably not exactly the thing that came out right. Anyhow, we were talking about games, okay? Games or hobbies in general. There's been a lot of controversy in gaming circles, at stores, and especially online about the different types of environments that there are in games, okay? And one of the things that I've noticed, because I'm an old man, don't worry, it's magic that keeps me from showing my wrinkles and my gray hair. There's been so many negative things out there, especially if you crawl everything on YouTube as much as I tend to. And so many negative stories. This game went bad. That game went bad. I'm not liking this and all that stuff. And I get it. So today, I want to talk about when this is no longer fun, what next? All right. Now, this is big. This is a really, really big thing, because there's a lot of reasons that your hobbies cannot be fun anymore, okay? I play a lot of games. I used to do a lot of historical reenactment and Renaissance fair and just thing after thing after thing. And I will tell you, some people like to chalk it up to phases and phases of life. Some people like to chalk it up. Some people like to chalk it up to environment and stuff. And quite honestly, sometimes things change and they're not fun anymore. It just happens. A lot of the hobbies that we get into, we tend to get into in our formative years and our important years. Now, some people might be looking at the screen right now going, wait, what's the difference? What's the formative is important? Why is he saying the formative isn't important? That's not what I'm saying in the slightest. Psychologically speaking, your formative years. That's so much. I'm like spilling coffee all over myself. I'm pathetic. Um, so much better. Your formative years are the years of your preschooling, your tiny, tiny years, um, and real talk, when you're 5, 6, 7, ooh, do I want this private? No, share it. Share it. Show up. Um, when you're in like elementary school, these are like your biggest formative years, okay? These are the years that everything tends to be foundational, all right? That's when you learn, hey, this is my favorite thing. This is my favorite color. This is the stuff that I like to do, all of that stuff, okay? But your important years, your impressionable years, excuse me, sociologically speaking, are your preteen years to your young adult years, okay? And just follow me on this, okay? Um, the music that touches your life more, like most off, starts at about 12 to 13 if you live in the United States. I found this out recently because, how can I put it? New music, I don't emotionally get as much because it's not talking about things that I'm close to or I experience, but the stuff that I really felt about, those were all like the late 80s, early 90s. And the CDs and stuff that I bought are on all the oldies stations now. So I'm like, yeah, all right. Master of Puppets is my favorite Metallica album. Holy crap, that was 30 years ago. Uh, yeah, that was like 30 something years ago. Um, so a lot of the things that we get into as teenagers, kids and teenagers, those tween to late teen years. This is why there are so many reboots and rehashes and stuff out there because it's playing off a lot of nostalgia. Um, I was a kid when He-Man first came out. I was a kid when Macross first came, and we know Macross as Robotech, right? Um, and over the course of my life, I've watched a lot of things change. All right. My girlfriend and her beautiful heart loved being a girl in the 80s and 90s. Like everything that she was into is like Jim and the Holograms and Madonna and Pat Benatar and all the stuff that was like being a girl is fun before it was about being a boss. It was just, hey, being, this is, we're happy, we're being good. Um, but there comes a point in life where those things that we really loved as kids or as teenagers either become less relevant, um, the environment changes, or we're just not there anymore. You know, um, I've been watching a lot of movies that I loved growing up, and I see them for the low quality or not fitting with the times that we live in now schlock that they are. Um, I recently watched Running Scared with Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal. And Billy Crystal is one of my favorite comedians, and Gregory Hines, he was definitely one of the heroes in my community when it was growing up. But this is a movie where they play cops, and they're bad cops. They do a whole lot of of intimidation. They do a lot of lies. They do bad policing work. And when I looked at that, I'm like, oh my God. Um, I love these characters for their dialogue and their punchiness, and it's an action flick, but I don't want to run into these cops in the real world. These dudes are bad people. They're not good people. But I'm seeing things through an eye that I didn't have back then. Okay? And with a lot of the things that I loved in my adolescent years and my, I guess you can say, foundational parts of my adulthood, I'm just not into a lot of things anymore. And this is something that a lot of people are going through, especially in the gaming community. It's been 5 or 6 years since Dungeons and Dragons came across its fifth edition. And there's new content. There's people that have been playing since that time and they love it and they're good at it. But when you get good at something or when you progress faster than the thing that you like, sometimes you need to look for something different, something more, or the way that I like to put it is something that resonates with who you are now versus who you were then. Okay? Because we're always changing as people. And so today, on the fun stuff, instead of talking about all of the things that I talk about when it comes to what is the term I'm looking for? Yeah, instead of talking about all of the things I talk about when it comes to life, the universe, and everything, I want to talk about the things, well, the tools that I've learned to develop over a few years that help me when it's time for me to do something new. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. The reason that there is a hashtag blurred is because the nerd environment has been toxic to black people and other people of color for decades. It was not originally something that we had much access to. But we've gotten there. We've gotten there. We are in. It is a thing. Is it as welcoming as we would like? No. Um, is it what is the term? Is it more welcoming than it used to be? Absolutely, on most levels. But there comes a time when when how can I put this? There comes a time when the stuff that we're enjoying about the hobbies and stuff that we like just aren't as sweet anymore. Um, we've optimized every character. We've done the statistical analysis. Um, we've dealt with enough toxic people. Or honestly, we just need a change of scene. We've been doing fantasy and now we'd like to do sci-fi. Or we'd like to do gritty private investigator, you know? Um, and the truth, there's absolutely, positively, and in all other ways, nothing wrong with needing a change. Okay? That is that's real. Okay, that is a very real thing. Um, and it is a reasonable thing. But how do we deal with that? Like what um what avenues do we take? That is where I get down, you know? Um, what do we do? How do we do it without hurting people's feelings? How do we just how do we access those things, you know? And why would we do it? Well, like I said, a lot of the reasons that some people would like to change hobbies, we talked about this on our last show, is because a lot of the times there is a crossover from hobby to lifestyle. And that can get really, really trying. Now, how can I put this? Um, I put this out to say, um, when a person is into something, it's really easy, um, to let it take over your life. Okay, especially in the days that we're in right now. I mean, I can't tell you how many folks I have talked to in regards to, hey, I would like to do this thing. And people are like, well, if you're going to do this thing, then you need this gear, these dice, these books, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just kind of going, okay, real talk, y'all. Um, how can I put this? What's the easiest way? I would like to do something with my time not working other than this. And that becomes an interesting thing on that. Okay? It becomes a really interesting thing to navigate because, as we talked about in the last show, there's a difference between hobby and lifestyle. A lot of the people that I've known over the years, they have made this their hobby or this their lifestyle. Okay? And a lot of people don't want to go that deep, but where do you draw that line? A lot of the times we'll have to leave a game group or an entire game because the environment is so toxic. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Games Workshop. Great game. A good amount of people that play Warhammer 40K in my neck of the woods are neck-bearded neo-Nazis, and I'm not afraid to say it, you know? And as much as I love the game mechanics and love the little figures and all that stuff, it's not really a thing. It's not really something that I want to get into or stay into. And as a person of color, or as a black person in my case, it's hard to communicate to my friends that aren't of color the difference of my experience and their experience. And sometimes, um, well, I had a splitting off from my gaming group just because they were running a game that I didn't want to play. Okay. Um, some folks like Pathfinder, some like Fifth Edition, some like Call of Cthulhu. My old LARP group right now mm, is playing Fading Suns, and I just wasn't feeling it right there, you know? So, how is it that I separate myself from the group without suffering FOMO and without, um, I don't want to say without making people feel bad, but I have boundaries that I have to express, and how do we do those and why would we do those is what today's show is about. Now, with a lot of stuff that I used to do, it really isn't that fun to me anymore. I was thinking yesterday, when I was young, I couldn't wait to be 21 so I can get into the club. Yeah, we in the club, club, look at the club, look at the club. And I have never really been a big drinker over the course of my adolescenthood and adult life. So when I was finally able to get into the club, I'm not a big drinker. I don't like dancing in public. And even if I did like doing those things, I rarely have $100 to spend in a night. So the club, being at the club, wasn't really my thing. Unless I can find like a good funk club, somewhere that's like playing funk and like 70s soul. Then I can get down and I don't mind dancing in public and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't really my thing. And I know a lot of people, and this is something that you guys are going to run into, that are so invested in their hobbies and the things that they love as part of their identities that they will take your dislike of a thing and superimpose it as dislike of them personally. Okay? This is I'm letting you guys know out there know right now. There's a lot of things that are my friends' lifestyles that I am not into. Okay? And I'm not into it because the environment has been toxic to me for decades. And they're like, "Well, I am," and I'm not, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking to you." You know, um, the experience that I have in these places are not the same experience that they have in those places. And when it's time for you to walk because you'd like to see what other gaming systems are out there or other board games are out there, other clubs and hobbies and stuff, it's fine to gracefully say, this is an aspect I don't really like, and call me when you guys are doing the stuff that I'm really into. This is something that I really had to think about in regards to tabletop miniatures games. Okay. I love my friends. I really do. My friends are the family that I chose. And they're the ones who really stick with me. However, when my friends love a tabletop miniature game, they don't love it in the same way that I do, which is I love playing. They love building. I'll paint up my miniatures enough so that I can tell them apart on the board. They will paint up their miniatures to be little universes, and they won't play the game until they're happy with their painting, and they're never happy with any art that they produce. So I'm kind of going, yeah, I'm not really into that, man. My best gaming friend is notorious for this, and I love him to death, but I'm like, as much as I love what you're trying to get me into, I'm not getting into any more games until we play four of the games that you've told me you wanted to play, you know. Um and the thing is, he understands that. Okay? He understands that because it's really easy, like I said on the last show, about these things to become a lifestyle, okay? And here's my thing about hobbies. They either have to be fulfilling or fun, okay? And if something is not fun but comes with a whole lot of stuff that you have to do before you can do the thing that you want to do each time, then you're on this slope to making it your lifestyle, and it might not be fun. Um Now, I'm not gonna lie. I like making terrain. I find it actually fulfilling. I go, wow, I've got a thing. Now I've got a play set that I couldn't afford when I was a kid. And I'm into that. However, I like doing that stuff for the sake of doing it, not so that I can convince people to play with me. So when my friends are like, hey, I've got a new thing, I'm like, can we use what we got? And they're like, well, I want to build more stuff. And I'm like, uh huh, call me when you're done. And it's not a personal insult to them. It's okay to have different tastes. All right. But when we have to go different places, what it's not okay to do is to insult the people that like the stuff that they like. Okay. It's fine if you like something that I don't like. That's not a terrible reflection on you. Okay. Warhammer 40K is a great example. I have friends that aren't neck-bearded neo-Nazis, and they play 40K and they love the people they play with, and some of the people that are around them are kind of neck-bearded neo-Nazis, but they're not being Nazis toward them, so it doesn't bother them as much. Now, I could easily be like, you're letting evil flourish because you're doing no, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. If they don't have the bad experience that I have, they can go and like what they like. Okay. We only get into it when they deny that I go through those experiences and say, no, come anyway. I'm like, don't ask me to do that kind of emotional labor. Seriously. Um, so as I was saying, it's not okay to insult the people that like the stuff that you don't like, unless, they're neo-Nazis. Um, but it's fine to not be into stuff. When I was young, I was really into Tim Burton movies. I loved Tim Burton movies at the beginning of his career. I'm talking like Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice. Man, I could still recite Beetlejuice. It really takes a lot of energy in me not to do his monologue when people say, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I'm like, oh, well, I attended the Juilliard. I've traveled quite extensively. I've lived through the Black Plague and I had a pretty good time during that. That kind of, it takes a lot for me not to do that. Love Batman 89. There's a lot of stuff with those things that I like a lot. However, um, I got tired of his stuff a while ago. And I said, okay, I'm tired of this stuff. I'm not really into it anymore. I like the stuff that I like from his time, but I'm not really into it. Not anymore. I can give you loads of reasons why, but at the end of the day, it's just not really my jam anymore. Um, I've never really liked any of Joss Whedon's work. I liked Firefly, then I found out a couple of things about it, and I'm like, well, that's off the list, and that's fine, you know. Um, but it's not my bag, so I go do something else. All right. And that's really a big thing. So, where do you go when you're done? Where do you go when you're done? Well, we've talked about how you leave. You can just say, I'm not really into it. It's not really my thing. I have my reasons, and you are under no obligation at any time to justify why you don't like something. Like people may ask why, but you don't have to answer. Okay. Um, but where do you go after that? Well, I'll tell you. I will tell you. Um, we're coming to a part since fifth edition has been out for 7 years that people are starting to get bored with the system. And so I tend to ask them, what is it about, what are your likes and what are your dislikes? What are things that you like about it? And what are the things that you're getting tired of? Some people can go over to Pathfinder 2.0 if they still love the fantasy thing and want a little more crunch and a little more granularity to their fantasy. Some people would be like, well, I've been trying to use fifth edition rules for science fiction or cyberpunk rather, and it's not really working, but I really want to do like a cyberpunk high tech, low life thing. And I'm like, well, there happens to be some games out there. Um, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition from Wizards of the Coast, no, they're not sponsoring me. And you're looking to go somewhere else, you can send me an email. But some of the places that I tend to go afterwards is if you want horror and not as much adventure, but more grounded role playing. Call of Cthulhu or Delta Green are great places. Especially if you've noticed that fifth edition is kind of geared for you to win. And you want a bit of a challenge, anything from Delta Green or Chaosium, will give you a bit more challenge. Um, you know, Steve Jackson games, they pretty much cover everything. They came up with GURPS, which is the generic universal role-playing system. And and they pretty much use their game mechanic and they do most of the work in converting practically any game that's on the market into that system. Um, I'm not quite sure if they're still up and going, but it's a real thing. Um, I'm a big sci-fi head, but I also love fifth edition, so I'm really all about Esper Genesis from Alligator Alley Games. I am very much a big fan of that. But if I want some science fiction that's closer to, say, The Expanse or the Isaac Asimov's Foundation series or Heinlein's Future History series, I can easily go to Mongoose games with things like Traveler and stuff like that. All different gaming systems, all different genres and an expansion of the role playing world that you've just entered into. Because every hobby that you're into is much bigger than your entry point, you know? And seriously speaking, I love this stuff. I really do. Um, Geographic location and economic status of geographic location has a lot to do with whether or not you will have an extended good time in taking care of things or liking things for longer. Now, here's the thing. I don't want people to think that I'm telling them that whatever gaming system they're with sucks. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm simply saying, hang on a minute. Yeah, I'm simply saying, um, the world of tabletop RPGs and board games and miniature games, um, or puzzles or anime or video games are so much bigger than what you've become used to. They're bigger than what I've come to be used to, and I've been doing this stuff for literally a generation. Back in the 80s, we had Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, GURPS from Steve Jackson. We had things like God, what we had BattleTech and Mech Warrior from FASA Fan Pro. We had a whole lot of board games that we grew up with, like the Milton Bradley stuff. And we had stuff from Amazon or Avalon Hill, which was like war reenactment games and capital ship combat and pirate stuff, you know. And if you come from the world of Monopoly, it's like, oh my God, there's so much here, you know. So there are lots of options and lots of places to go from where you are now. If you're in a place where you've done the thing and you're bored, or you just don't really like where you're at right now, that's fine. There's lots of places to go. But there are some things to take a look at when it comes to searching for new stuff. Some red flags that would be out there in going to a new environment. And a lot of those red flags are external and some are internal. Okay. I want to start with the internal ones first because I know these are things that I have to keep a very vigilant eye out for. Um, mm, Again, coffee. I live and die by it. I know that I can easily get caught up in someone else's enthusiasm for something. When someone's like, "Oh my God, I love Seven Seas. You get to play a pirate and you're swashbuckling and you're swinging on stuff and all that stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, cool." So I look for a lot of the things that I like in games where it's like, okay, so you're doing the pirate stuff. Um when I look at stuff, I'm like, okay, these are the things that I like. I ask about those things. And of course, people are like, of course, oh my God, it's all there. And it's this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Can you give me an example? And if they can't give a coherent example, then I'm kind of like, okay, man, you're kind of selling it too hard. A lot like someone trying to sell me a gym membership. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Because we're going to get you stacked, man. Oh my God. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to get that stuff. Go. We're going to get you. And then we're going to have leg day. And you're going to be pumped. And I'm like, okay, dude, I just want to lose some weight. Is this place open at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, it's open at 3. And I'm like, cool, cool. It's open at 3. That's great. So if I'm up in the middle of the night, I'll have somewhere to go. All right, cool. That's all I need. That's all I need to know. But the internal red flags are, am I being hyper vigilant to run away from things that have scarred me in the past? Ah, ah. For me, it's kind of easy because as soon as someone asks me why, my head goes to, okay, are they asking me why because they're interested, or are they asking me why because they didn't know black people like this? And that's something that I have to look out for. That's an internal thing. That's my thing. And now I'm not saying it don't get asked, but what I am saying is it's not always being asked. So that's some of the stuff I got to look at. But let's get to some of those external things. Is it being asked? If people are going, oh, I didn't know that girls like this game, or and this is a lot for all of you out there that identify as female. This is a special thing when it comes to choosing environments because there is a lot of toxic masculinity in a lot of these hobbies. So when it comes to, oh my God, the girl's here, or if you're at a table and everybody has to flirt with every woman that comes down, or if a GM says, doesn't say outright that women are trapped, but never introduce a female NPC that doesn't lead to the death of the party. It's it's a big thing. So those are some of the things to keep an eye out on. One of my biggest red flags, one of my biggest red flags is, or not red flags, but one of the processes that I do is I ask if I can sit in online or if I can sit around a gaming table, kind of lurk and listen to how the game is run. Okay. Um, because there are 100 different ways that a game can be played, or that anime can be watched, or comics can be discussed, that really fulfill the people participating into it. The question, the real challenge is, if you're going to keep doing this with a group, can you find a group that likes stuff for the same or similar enough reasons that you do? Okay, they don't have to be the same. Okay, and this is something I want to put out there for real. A lot of people want the same experience. They want exactly the same thing that they got when they first started. You know, one of my favorite songs is from a woman called Sade, spelled Sade, Sade, and the song is "Never as Good as the First Time." Okay, um, when we go from one experience to another, or we evolve in anything that we're working on, be it any creative endeavor, any hobby, any new lifestyle, internally, we have to be vigilant of ourselves to make sure that we're not chasing a feeling from the past. Okay. Um, I remember the rush that I got the first time I killed a bug in second edition D&D. It was just like, well, not the first time I killed a bug. We were against giant murder hornets, and the first time I understood the mechanics, and I came up with a plan, and I rolled the dice, and I didn't get a natural 20, but I got like a 17, and that was what I needed or something. Um, and I killed the thing in one hit, and it was awesome. However, over the past 32 years since then, I've had a myriad of different great feelings and great games and great experiences with those things. Um, Being open to the goodness of a new experience will really help in choosing the next thing. I had a major falling out with some of my gaming groups over the years because I love new things. I love new systems. I love new settings. And I know so many people that are just set in their ways. I like this gaming system, and I'm going to look at this gaming system, but I'm not going to look at it for what it is. I'm going to look at it for how different it is from what I actually like, and I'm going to point out how different it is and how it sucks from that. Red flag. I'm like, just be open to whatever comes down. Um, Things can be fun for their own sake. This is why I'm a terrible movie critic because I've read a lot of books, not as many books as some of my friends because I didn't have access to them when I was a kid. But but when I look at movie or TV adaptations of literature, I do go, well, that's different from how they did it in the book, but not, it sucks because they left it out. They're not doing it right. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not that guy. Okay. So I love the fifth edition system for its ease of use and its easy entry and all that stuff. I like the Pathfinder system for its granularity and its versatility with its rules. Um, I also like Inamine because sometimes I just want to carry around a few D6s. Uh, you know, I like War Machine for its ease of use. I like BattleTech for um for its damage tracking and its immersion of giant wobots that are 5 and 6 stories high. And I like one page rules, which is practically Warhammer 40K, for the epic feeling of rolling 35 dice. It's all awesome. Um, but what I won't do is I won't look at, say, War Machine and go, it's not Battletech, so it sucks. I don't limit myself to one thing. Now, if you do, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You do you as long as it makes you happy. Um, but what I'm talking about today is when it's not fun anymore and it's not making you happy. Where do you go? There's a lot of anger on the internet today, a whole lot of anger. And it's because things that made people happy 20 years ago are changing and things are different. Okay. Um, and sorry to tell you, that's life. Seasons change, people change. When I was in my 20s, I liked putting on full suits of armor and hitting my friends over the head with sticks. It was the 90s, the internet wasn't as big a thing. Um, I'm not like that anymore. You know, Not that I don't like doing it, but those hits hurt now. That armor's heavy. I don't like waking up sore. I've got a bad back. I'm not into that anymore. When I was young, there was a lot of comedy I liked, but life happened. I became a different person, and that stuff to me today isn't um as much as I did. Nothing stays the same, and there's a lot of people that want to hold on to things that they are used to or things that they're good at now. But time moves on. We're not crystallized. So when it comes to changing up what you're doing, what I have to say is ask yourself the question, what makes this stuff fun? What do I like about it? And from there, that is the question that will launch every step moving forward. I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times, it's not the thing that we're doing, it's the people that we do it with. I brought up my dislike for Joss Whedon. Never liked his work. It's just I have never liked it. It's not been my thing. The holes that I see and the stuff that I see are things that are blaringly obvious to me and not as obvious to a lot of the people I know that lurb Joss Whedon's work. Um, but back in the day, in its original run, my circle of friends used to get together once a week to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer and hang out. And we're talking 30 people at a house. I hated Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did not like it. But I liked hanging out with my friends. So I hung out with my friends. I didn't watch Buffy because I didn't want to have a bad time. But I hung out with them and I talked about stuff and it was nice to spend time. You know? In certain situations in my life, I really liked the game. And I was indifferent about the people I was playing with. you know, but I liked the game. So I would show up to game, I would play the game, I would have a good time, I would do my clack a roll of dice, and then I'd go home, you know. Um, so my motivations for fun were very clear to me. Because I asked myself that question, what about this do I like? Is it the thing? Is it the people? And of course, what about it don't I like? I was talking with a good friend of mine, the same one that likes to get me into all these games and never play. And we were talking about one of the reasons I stopped the festival scene. Okay. Now, I could get political and talk about a whole lot of stuff, but what it comes down to is this. Everything that I do, I'm capable of providing my own fun. Okay. I can amuse myself all day, even if I have to take off my sock, make a puppet out of it and a hair tie, and have conversations with it to myself. I can do that all day. But I do my best to avoid environments where that has a high probability of being a necessity. And that's what a lot of the festival scene had become for me. So I had to stop because the amount of effort that I was putting into it did not equal the same amount of fun that I was getting out of it. So it just that was the thing, you know. I mean, that was it. That was all it was. Um, I had to work too hard to have fun. And when it comes to hobbies for myself, that is my primary criteria. If it's more fun, if it's more work than it is fun or amusing or fulfilling, I'll find something that's less work for a higher reward. That's just how I do it. And I like the stuff that I'm into. So, the call to action today, guys, okay, your homework, as you will, or your quest, is to ask yourself, what is it that you like out of hobbies and experiences? And to really delve into those questions, not just they're fun. What does fun mean? What does it consist of? Okay, these deep questions are important because when you have the answers to those questions, you'll be able to find the hobbies and things that really, really, really fulfill you and um are honestly great uses of resource and time. I know currently um one of my favorite things to do is to teach people how to play, okay? And let's call this a bonus video. One of my favorite things is to be a teacher, okay? And what does that mean? It's very easy, okay? Um, I was talking with one of my former co-hosts, and I told him flat out that he isn't a teacher. He took some offense to this at first, and I said, "Well, hear me out, okay? You say yourself that you're not into beginner humans. You don't like dealing with people who don't know. And the truth is, that's fine. But you're not a teacher, you're a coach, okay? A coach doesn't teach people the rules of a sport. They don't say, "Oh, you've never played basketball before? Well, let me show you how to dribble. Let me show you what part of the court is a 2-point shot, what part is a 3-point shot. Let me show you how to run and bounce the ball." They don't do that. They take the assumption that you already know the sport and they get you good at it. Coaches help you improve, but they don't teach you from zero. Teachers teach you from zero. Okay, teachers go, "I don't expect you to have known what I'm about to teach you. So, I hope you have some of the fundamentals. If you don't, then we will go over those fundamentals." And his reply was, "Okay, yeah, that's fair." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You don't teach anyone how to play Pathfinder or 3.5 or 2.0. You take the people who already play a little, who have at least read the basic rules, and you show them how to get good. Heck, you show them how to break games." um, but you're not a teacher. You're a coach. And one of my favorite things is to teach. I love taking people that have never done this stuff before, show them how to do it, and I love how their eyes light up when they have fun with um that initial spark of their first understanding. I live for that. I got a call yesterday from a decker about the definition of lawful when it comes to alignments. And we talked about that, and I was able to give them reference materials and things like that. And it was a good conversation. That makes me feel good. Okay. I have fun answering these questions. I have fun showing people the stuff they've never seen before. I love taking first level characters and gaming with them until they're at fifth level. I am big on that. And that's one of the reasons I do this because, I know a lot of people who don't like dealing with new players or don't like answering the same questions over and over and over and over. I happen to enjoy it. So I'm like, hey, you got new players? Send them over here. I would love to talk to them. I would love to show them stuff. I like answering those questions because I like watching people learn. And that's the thing. I'll probably never be a hardcore gamer because I don't like breaking systems and I don't play anything with the sole intention on dominating and becoming the best, you know? Um, so understanding what it is that you love to do, if you love to teach, if you love to coach, if you love to play, know that about yourself. Really ask yourself those questions and do some experiments. And the truth is, you might find that there are whole aspects of these things that you never considered when you first started. Okay. But understand that I know that the first thing that we learn, or the first person that we learn it from, that comes down to be our basis of reality. I totally get it. I've learned so many things from so many different places. And one of the things that helps me navigate is something that I'll give to you from my physics teacher from high school. He had 4 rules of life that he really applied, that he had tested in the field and all that stuff. And it was anecdotal empirical data. I know it sounds like a paradox, but it's more of a dialectic. And one of his first rules is the best instructor is he who lies with the straightest face. The corollary to that, never trust a good instructor. And the reason for that is when a teacher is teaching something for the first time, they teach in a lot of axioms, okay? A lot of statements that are, period. This is the foundation. A negative times a negative equals a positive. Shut up. But why is it shut up? That's just the way it is. Negative times a negative equals a positive. And then when you get to the advanced levels of that subject, all the rules fall apart. Did you know that in Newtonian physics, we have so many different rules that apply to the universe at large? The laws of gravity and the laws of velocity and rate times acceleration and all of those things. But then when you get to the subatomic level, it all breaks down and it's a completely different set of rules, which means nothing is definite, nothing is there. But when you first learn something, the first person that you learn it from, your first GM, the people who teach you how to play stuff, they give you this foundation of this is the thing of what it is. And that tends to be what we wrap our expectations around. But if you're able to understand that and to step aside from it, everything opens up and you get to see so many different perspectives and such a big world in your hobbies, in your studies, in anything that you choose to do with your time. So that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And that would be the thing. And I've wrapped up the stuff before the music started coming. Ha 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 ha. You're not playing me off this time, spirits. You're not playing me off this time. I want to give a massive shout out to my chats. I want to say thank you guys for being here. Big shout out to Black and White, NIC, Camel Heart, Clever Vixen, Ghost Monkey, Join. It looks like Joint Effort. Yeah, Joint Effort. Net. It looks like Nat Zelly. Thank you guys for showing up. Chasing TV, always lurking. Who else we got down here? We got Nicholas Hurst and all of you guys that are here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I managed to keep today's show at an hour. I am so proud of myself. If you guys have any questions or comments or have anything to add to this, then feel free to drop me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. You can, it's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter at backinthedeck. That's at BACKINTHEDECK, along with Instagram. And if you're part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy other than Twitter, known as Facebook, you can find me and a lot of the other Deckers at Deckers on the Book. That is our Facebook group where we talk, we exchange pictures of the stuff that we're building. If we're into crafts, we show off our cosplay, and it's just a good old time. It's something that we really enjoy doing and really enjoy talking about. This is the best place to actually interact with people when I'm not transmitting, which is awesome for me and awesome for you and awesome. Now, if you guys want to help me keep the channel alive and pay for all the stuff that goes with this, the internet bandwidth, which gets expensive, the camera equipment, the lenses, the mics, and all of the upgrades and all that stuff, shout outs to our patrons that help me replace the editing bay. You can hit us up at patreon.com/BID_P. Isn't that fun? And for as little as $1 a month, that's less than a soda, y'all. Less than a soda, less than a pop. You can help us keep the doors open. There are multiple levels. So many different things. You get Skype calls. We send out merchandise that we make ourselves. Access to the games that we show. Every single show that we put up. And there's gonna be skits coming very, very soon that are gonna be Patreon exclusive so that our patrons get more stuff that I don't give away for free. So that's patreon.com/BID_P. And thank you guys so much for showing up. So I definitely want to say, get out there, ask yourself those questions of why you like stuff, and be honest with yourself about it. And of course, if anybody tells you that you're not welcome because of your circumstances of birth, being race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, your disabilities, or your budget, because the trailer park is just a mile away from the projects, y'all, you just tell them that we said to take any of those cards and put them back in the deck. I'm Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and I'm saying thank you guys, and we will see you tomorrow on the dark side of the room.